A warm welcome to this episode on preventing burnout, to pray or not to pray, where I welcome people from all walks of life, no matter what your faith tradition is, but especially if you're a Christian. I want to start with this fundamental question that you might have in the back of your mind. What do I mean by prayer? First of all, right? What I mean is this internal or outside external conversation and relationship with with what's larger than ourselves. This might be God, the divine, cosmic awareness, universal, humanity, however you call it. And if you're a Christian, the question is really this: is prayer able to prevent burnout? In other words, if I pray daily with God, can I maintain my equilibrium and balance and serve Christ long term without getting exhausted and without burning out? And if you're not Christian or not faithful at all, you might be wondering, is there a cosmic consciousness out there? And is that communicating with the universe helping me in manifesting whatever it's inside of my world? This is a buzzword nowadays. How do we bring our hopes and our wishes outside through manifestation? So the answer might surprise you, and this is why I'm packed today in today's episode. And if you are a Christian, I want to tell you, I get asked all the time, how does this work? How do we prevent burnout as a Christian, especially for passionate but tired Christians? And we want to serve Christ and especially integrate science, psychology, spiritual care, ancient Christian faith in a way that we can engage with the world and explain also what's happening inside and integrate that with our faith. And stay until the end, because I will unpack this and I will share more information about our pilot program, a Renewal in Action, a pilot program for Christians. And mark your day, is going to be in August. I'll share all this at the end. And meanwhile, no matter what faith tradition you're in, even if you don't have one, let's dive in. And if you don't know me, I am Dr. Ioana Popa from Team for the Soul, and I really invite you to join our weekly Renewal Nuggets, this oasis in the midst of action, which is meant to help you to regenerate and renew as you go about your day in such a way that you can continue to keep giving, serving people, and also making this world a better place with maximum impact without the fear of burning out, and no matter how busy you are. So let's dive into the question, is prayer able to prevent burnout? Especially if you're a Christian, right? Is prayer and communicating with God, can it bring this ability to prevent burnout? In other words, if I pray daily using words, can I maintain my equilibrium and balance and serve Christ long term and not get exhausted or burned out? And if you're not a faithful, you might wonder, well, is there something, someone out there? Is there a cosmic consciousness? Is there some divine out there that is kind and can help me manifest my wishes, so to speak? Is there a way that the universe can help in this? And the answer might be surprising. It is yes and no. And there are two mistakes that most people do in ways of praying and relating with God. So here's the first mistake that I will unpack today. For many Christians, praying to prevent burnout actually means that in the back of our mind, we might think, oh, prayer is the only thing that we need to do to prevent burnout. And if I don't need to do anything else, because if I have to do anything else, that means my faith is weak. And all I need is just to ask God and pray, and then I'll wait. There's nothing else to do. I'll just wait for God's will, and He answers prayers, which, by the way, is true on some level, especially when we know God exists, right? For a Christian, this is a belief, right, that God exists. But there's a difference between prayer is needed to prevent burnout, and prayer is the only thing that is needed to prevent burnout. Because if prayer would be the only thing and will be enough to prevent burnout, if it'll be 100% true, then there'll be no Christian, either stressed or burnout, sad, lonely. And we know that this is not 100% true. And suffering does exist. And many times, especially the physicians and psychiatrists, myself, I work with thousands of people, including Christians. And if prayer was enough, I would have not had to work with them to begin with, because all of them were very kind, very passionate, prayerful beings, and they still encounter struggles. And when people many times rely just on prayer and nothing else, they actually don't take steps to help themselves. And they end up with consequences, either by feeling a victim, and they end up feeling sick or burdened or anxious or stressed. Our body can get into chronic stress. Actually, that happened to me. For years, I was convinced that I could just go, 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 go and help others without regenerating. And I was enough. And I burn out. I burn out twice. So in psychology and mental health, we know that there are conditions, including abusive relationships, that are reinforced by us being more passive, or self-sabotaging behavior, or codependency, right? A sense of victimhood. So we know that prayer alone is not enough, and just waiting for God to intervene in our life is not the ultimate solution. Yes, Christ does perform miracles, but we don't have to be passive about it. And I'll explain a little bit more very shortly from a Christian perspective. Now, if you're a non-Christian or have no faith, but you might be interested in expressing your will and your inner universe through manifestation in the outside world, what I've seen in working with people like this is that the mistake is that there's an underlying belief that all I need to do is to change myself, and then I can manifest anything. I can be like God. I can be the divine. I need to visualize. I need to see abundance. In order to manifest it, I need to believe that all is possible, have full confidence, and it will just happen. And it's true at some level, right? Our sense of attitude, our sense of confidence has an energetic impact in the way we relate with others. And by the way, even Christ said, ask and it will be given to you multiple times, multiple times. But just by mere effort, external through hard work, or internal through imagination, through manifestation, through visualization, if that would be 100% true, then it means that all procrastinators from all around the world, they were just dreaming and trying to manifest that with their thought, will not have an issue anymore. And we know that that's not the case. And also that would mean that all hardworking people trying to follow their dreams, they would be all in abundance and they have all that they want. And unfortunately, we know that this is not the case. There's so many more factors, from biological, genetic to societal factors. And there are plenty of good intended, hardworking people. Or on the other side, people who just don't want to do anything, just want to visualize, and they do not see their dreams come true. So what is the solution to this? And is there another way? Is there a third way to think about it, between praying and asking once from God and waiting for God to intervene and kind of staying passive about it, or the other side, just let me do everything that I can, internally, psychologically, or externally, and it will manifest? What is the third way between those two possibilities? The solution comes, and I've been searching right through science, psychology, interfaith spiritual care, ancient Christian faith, and all other Christian denominations. The most cosmic and beautiful way of understanding this is as we can hold the yes and the no in the same time through the third way. And the ancient Christian theology brings this mystery, this tension between what we know and we can do, and what is unknown and what only God can do. And I'm going to bring those teachings and from the ancient Christian theology, which boils down, and I mean, there's so many layers here. I won't be going into a theological exposition here and thesis, but just the few snippets. There's a synergy between God and us. He's not just God and he's not just us. There is a synergy, there's a co-creation, there's a dance, there's a beautiful world, perichoresis, divine dance, that we are involved in day in and day out, moment by moment. And then there is an intimate relationship inside between me, you, us in the core, and God. And this is as we are the fleshed out manifestation of God. In other words, there's a cooperation between God and I. There's this divine dance. And beautifully, I think Christ is, as far as I know, the only prophet that not only he claimed, but so many people around the world are saying that it is both God and human, and it is a model for us. So, what does that have to do with prayer and preventing burnout? This third way, this divine dance and co-creation and synergy. So it is something like this. This is kind of like, I don't like to go in so much into the theology of it, as more like, how do we make this practical? I'm a very practical person. So when we pray and connect with God, there's one layer to it, but we can also prepare for God. Think about this as in marriage, right? In a marriage, we not only expect things from our spouse, but we also do things ourselves to grow and be ready and maybe listen more, be more attentive. There are some things that we do. There's a reciprocal relationship. So we can also prepare for this relationship with God by changing our mind, by renewing our minds, our thoughts, our hearts, our emotions, our body. And the key word here is, I love this word, metanoia, which means renewal, turns toward God. The Christians use the word, another word is repentance, but that sometimes gets lost in translation. It really boils down, as you go all the way back thousands of years to Christ, it has to do with this renewal. And interestingly, God always responds because God is everywhere, filling all things. If we believe in God, incarnate God, he is filling all things, including inside and outside of us. And is this cosmic awareness, on one hand, alert and kind, imminent, inside of us, present every moment. It is our sense of who I am. There's a reason why there's one of the name of God is I am who I am. And guess what? God, from this perspective, ancient Christian faith perspective, doesn't have hands, doesn't have eyes, doesn't have a mind. We are God's hands. We are God's ears, God's eyes, God's mind. So through our fleshed out in our body, we are the ones that are embodying it. So it does matter how we cooperate and we come into the synergy. And very interestingly, this might be for another time, but there's a process of transformation that is described in this idea of we're moving through our life towards union with God, theosis, union with God. And there are 3 steps, and I'm going to share this another time. One of the first steps has to do with the preparation. How do we prepare for encountering with God? And when we do that preparation from a physician, psychiatrist, and life coach and spiritual care provider, that means we're going to grow up. Not only spiritually, but also psychological also. It also means integrating our body, with our thoughts, our mind, our emotions, with our true self, our soul. It means also befriending our younger versions of ourselves. You might have heard me talk about internal family system. It's such a beautiful methodology to help us really get to know the younger, almost like brain circuits, right? With behavior, thoughts, beliefs, so we can befriend them and we can actualize them in today's version of ourselves. It means also unlocking our ability through awareness, choice, and will to live a vibrant life in God. So there's harmony. And then we can prepare for a deeper and deeper connection level with God. And of course, ultimately, God is the source of all. If you're a Christian, it goes without saying. And God is the one renewing. But we need to cooperate. We need to prepare. We need to get ready. So we don't have to be passive vessels. We are embodied and we can actually have an impact into the world. And if everything that I'm saying, this is like, oh, this is so beautiful, but I've never experienced this and not sure how to do this, stay curious, really stay. The key point here is to stay curious about this live relationship with God, with the divine. And I actually unpack all this and I teach how to do this from a body, mind, heart, and soul perspective, this alignment, this befriending, in order to experience the sacredness and the true self. And I really teach this in my online program, The Renewal in Action, because there is a lot of benefit, and my students are witnesses to this. There is a great benefit when we live in this third way, because we enter into a more real and meaningful relationship with God moment by moment. We actually can feel more energized and empowered and joyful as we keep giving, and with maximum impact and without the fear of burning out. And as I've been practicing this myself, I've been so much more at peace, and I don't have the fear of burning out. I know how to listen to my body. I know how to listen to my emotions, to my thoughts in such a way that I stay in harmony and centered. Now, there is a second mistake when we think of prayer as the only way to prevent burnout, and that has to do with prayer with words, and I will unpack that next week, so stay tuned. All right, so in summary, as I'm wrapping this up, prayer and connecting with God is paramount, but it's not the only way to prevent burnout. It's not enough. There are other things that we can do as we are preventing burnout, from integrating body, mind, heart, and soul, aligning with our values and make consistent choices with them and our priorities, regenerating daily and a moment by moment, so we can allow more of God into our lives. And if you're not a Christian, here's my invitation for you. I was considering myself an atheist for the first 2 decades of my life. So interestingly, when I became really curious, what if God exists? I think it doesn't, but what if it exists? If it doesn't exist, it doesn't matter if I believe in God or not, right? Who cares? I can live a happy life either way. And if God exists and I believe in God, that's great. It's a win-win situation. So there's 3 situations where it's a win-win situation. If God doesn't exist, I can believe in God or not. If God does exist and I believe in God, this is great. But if God exists and I don't believe in God, I wondered. That got me curious, and got me really curious to ask this question: what if God really exists? And the rest is history, because I've talked about this a few instances, but I had such amazing experiences, and I got to really encounter the living God. And I'm a witness to that. So I encourage you to be curious and just ask. All right. So as we wrap up, I mentioned at the beginning that I do have an announcement for the passionate but tired Christian. And the fact that I've been running the Renewal in Action program for a year and a half, but this is the first time I'm starting a pilot for Christians, because I have lots of people asking me about it and how do we do this from a Christian perspective. So we're going to open the doors to this program for Christian, this pilot program, in August. So on August 10th. So do sign up and mark it on your calendar. But most importantly, click on the link to go on the wait list, because I will not advertise the program. I will not give the details of the program and the amazing pricing offer that I have and the surprises that I have. I will not advertise them anywhere else except for the people who are interested and will sign up and want to they're committed to do some change. So sign up for this, wait for some surprises and more information on the other side. So with that, I will leave you. I want to thank you for being in this shared, amazing online space. It was unbelievable, unheard of, 2-3 decades ago, that we can actually do this. And I wish you a wonderful time, and may you continue to regenerate and renew daily in small steps, so small that you cannot fail. And until next time, I say goodbye for now.